I came into the Project Connect program being involved with DCYF. I was trying to get my oldest daughter back. She was removed from my care due to I had a substance abuse problem, and unfortunately I had her with me during that time, so they removed her and placed her with my mother. It was incredibly sad, but I definitely needed help. I was very jaded and caught up in addiction and didn't even know where to go, who to turn to, and I didn't even know how severe it really was. It's kind of ironic that the name is Children's Friend, Project Connect. I don't know what I would have done without that program in my life.
It makes perfect sense that if you want to help the child, you've got to help the parent. If the parent is in distress, you can be sure the child's going to be in distress.
The goals are to provide parents with the tools and with the support to engage in recovery and to maintain their sobriety. And the hope is that in doing that, the project will be able to maintain children safely at home with their parents. And if that's not the case, that they will be able to work with the parents sufficiently that they can reunify the children with their parents.
What we're trying to do here is to save the state incarceration and do treatment instead, and keep the family together as much as possible. Naturally, we'll save money, but the purpose is really to rehabilitate the family.
The benefits of Project Connect are keeping children safe and families together. And Project Connect does that by building on the family strengths and then connecting them to additional supports that they may need. That helps the family through the current crisis and also puts the family in a good position to be able to handle crises that may come in the future.
Project Connect is a really intensive program. Minimum interaction is twice weekly home visits, or if the family is homeless, community-based visits. It's really tailored to the situation. A lot of our families initially come to us in crisis, and so we can be out there daily. And then as people progress within the program, families integrate, reintegrate, and meet their goals, we can look at lowering the intensity of the services. And it's a long-term program.
Most of the time there's 3 home visits from Project Connect in 1 week, separate visits. So there's kind of 3 people checking in, which is very unique for a program. There's a lot of hands-on, a lot of eyes in there to kind of see what's going on, a lot of eyes to help.
The Project Connect worker is not an adversary. I think that kind of a resource for our clients enables them to trust the worker, to form a relationship with the worker, and to share with the worker some of the issues that might otherwise not be noticed, but issues that need to be dealt with before they can have their children back and function normally.
I have a wonderful relationship with Andrea. She's part of my survival plan, so to speak. She's my safety net, and I utilize that, and when I'm upset, I can call her and I can share the good times, the bad times.
Well, Project Connect is very important because it is able to intervene in the lives of families that are struggling with substance abuse problems to ensure that the children in those families have a chance, have an opportunity. And it's also proven to be effective in terms of the outcomes, in terms of more stable therapy for the adults, less occurrence of children who are born with addictive problems.
Project Connect has become probably one of DCYF's best kept secrets. The data that we have collected shows huge success for those families that have been involved with Project Connect. And it's not only in terms of the successes of getting the child back at home, but more importantly, it's keeping that child at home.
We are finding that typically about 85% of the families who have their children in home at the time they started services were able to safely maintain their children at home.
The literature indicates that since Project Connect has been involved, we're seeing fewer and fewer cases where the children are born drug positive.
The rate at which children are born substance-free is typically about 80 to 85%.
His mother had a drug problem, which caused me to lose him to the state. Now after 11 months, I got him back. But between his mother and my anger problem, we kind of just fell right into Project Connect. They've gotten me my apartment, they've gotten me him, they've helped me through everything. They've been there from day one. I could not be happier with them.
What we all strive for is maintaining the child in the home. We want the kids to be there. We feel that that is the best environment for them. Sometimes that can't be. Sometimes, parents still need to work on their own issues and placing them in kinship homes where they're with families, with their own family, extended family.
I gave custody to my mom. My mom's a foster mother for her. And my mother's good with her. Right now I have unsupervised visits with my mom's discretion. I've been through a lot of things. And going to Project Connect, I'm able to talk with other women and get my feelings out. And they are understanding about it because they're more or less in the same predicament that I'm in. It's getting easier day by day, knowing that I have Project Connect in my life.
Placing them in non-relative foster care is another option. Not the best, but it's a safe environment.
Their biological mom is a drug addict. She got herself into some trouble, as drug addicts do, and she relapsed, went to jail, and her kids needed to have a home. So that's where I came in. And I gave them a home, a warm bed, hot meal. They need to know that I'm not here to take them away from mom. I'm here to help their family get together and be a better family. Just to know that there's so many people around them that support them, that we all want the best for them, and we want them back with mom because that would be the best for them, and mom wants that too.
We found that the families who had gone through Project Connect reunified more quickly, they were more likely to reunify, and they were less likely to come back into the departments. We're finding that reunification typically occurs for about 40 to 50% of the families.
When I had my son, I did test positive for THC, but they told me they wanted me to do a program and that the baby would go home with me, but I had an abusive boyfriend. So they didn't let him come home with me. Thanks to Project Connect, I've been able to deal with that, move on with my life, get my son back. Made a difference.
The program has been recognized as providing promising practices by national research centers. It has been cited by legislators. It's clearly a program that statewide is referred to as one of the few resources that is there to provide this kind of home-based, long-term intensive support for families who are engaged in the work of recovery.
Substance abuse problems know no geographical or socioeconomic boundary. They affect every neighborhood, every community, and we really need to reach out and make sure these services are as widely available as possible.
As a result of the work done by Senator Reed, now the whole state is involved, which gives me a great feeling of hope.
This additional funding is now giving us that opportunity to offer something that we know that works and that is successful to every family that needs it across the state.
Going statewide allows us to really envelop the whole entire state and not have to deny people services that really need them.
Custodial care for children, constant sort of legal interpretations and court proceedings about the status of children, the status of spouses, all of that is very expensive. So the bottom line here is, by the wise use of these resources of access to social workers and mental health specialists, you can keep families together, and when you do that, not only is it the right thing to do, but also it's the smart and less expensive thing to do.
If you get good outcomes, which is what we get through Project Connect, you're going to save money anyway in the long run, because if we keep children at home, if we are able to keep families together and parents who are substance free, then those families are going to be intact. Those families are going to be productive members of the society.
It's my favorite program, and most of the judges in the drug court know that.
I think it's given families hope. It's given families tools and support to sustain recovery. And I think that in doing that, it has given children a better opportunity to grow up in a safe and substance-free home.
I think the most gratifying part is when you see children home with their families, with their parents. When you see a mom hold her child. It's so wonderful, though.
I hope she doesn't have to lose me behind drugs ever again. I hope her life is fulfilled with love and joy without a drug parent.
I'd just like to thank Project Connect for my son and for myself.
Last Christmas, I didn't have my children. Now I have my children. I have myself, I have my home, and I'm pretty much put back together like Humpty Dumpty, and I feel wonderful. I really do. I'm blessed, and I have to keep that up front. And Children's Friend helps me do that too. I couldn't be any happier today.